That said, let's find a comfortable seated position. Give ourselves a little wiggle. Feel those sitting bones rooting down into our mat. And we'll close our eyes. As we inhale into those lungs and then press that diaphragm down in towards our belly. Feel the ribs expand and contract. And then when we're ready, we'll inhale, lift our hands up to the sky. Lower the shoulders away from our ears. Open up the fingers wide. Give them a little wiggle. And then exhale. We'll just go over to the right. We can lower that right hand down to our mats, reaching up and over with the left. Pressing our hips down in toward the mat. Good, and now let's lower that left hand down by the right. And then just creepy crawl those fingers around toward the center, and we'll find a forward fold eventually. Take your time. Sink our chest down. And then we'll slowly walk those hands backwards. We'll roll our way up as we lift our chest. Back up to seated. And now let's take those feet and we'll switch to cross. We don't do this very often, probably should, because it feels really weird now that I am in this different configuration. Settle in and then inhale, hands come up high, shoulders go down, fingers can open wide if they would like. And then we'll go on over to the left. There, and we'll just lower that right hand down over here by the left. And then again, creepy crawl those fingers, taking our time. We slowly move around to our forward fold. And then inhaling, walking the hands backwards. And then rolling our way up. To the top. We can uncross those legs. We'll place our feet out in front of us. Then our hands can come back behind us if we would like, or if we want to try and balance, we can use our hands and just flail them about if we would like. We'll just do some little windshield wipers with our knees. So as we exhale, we'll just take those knees over to one side. And then inhale back up to the center, and then exhale over to the other side. Back and forth with our breath. Get into those hips, making them feel a little better, lubed up. You may crawl around a little bit as we do this. That's fine. We're just working our way towards each other. See if I go all the way off screen here. Let's do one more to each side. Last one. And then we'll come back to the center. I'll scoot back. Good, and now let's place those hands behind us. We'll pull our shoulders back. We'll lift our heart. Press into those hands and the feet, and we'll lift our tail up, lifting our belly into reverse tabletop. Good, and then slowly we'll exhale, lowering our butt down. We can slide it in between our hands. Feet can come out in front of us. Toes point up toward the sky. And we'll slowly just walk those fingers down into a little forward fold. Nothing huge. Good, and then inhale, we'll come back up. And from here, let's tuck that right foot in so that the shin is parallel to the top of our mat. And then we'll kick this left leg back behind us. And we'll find ourselves in deer pose. Hands will find a spot right in front of that right shin. Let ourselves settle in. And then we'll do a little forward fold here. As we walk the hands forward, bringing the chest with us. Connecting that belly to that right thigh. Chest will try and peek out over the shin if we can, keeping our backs relatively straight. Good, and then we'll help ourselves back up. Nice and tall, and then again, if we would like, we can place a hand onto the mat, or we can flail a little bit, do some little spirit fingers. We're gonna shift over onto this right hip so that we can bring the left leg out, Just kind of touch a little bit, and then exhale, we'll come back. Little mobility in the hip. Inhale, we'll extend out in front. Exhale, we'll just bring it on back. And again, if we need to help with our hands for some balance, we can totally do that. And then exhaling back. Inhaling forward. And then exhaling back. Good, let's do that one more time. And back. Good, and now let's bring that left foot forward, and we'll find ourselves in Janu Shirshasana here. Good, the left toes are pointing up to the sky. We're gonna turn our chest toward this right knee. A little twist here. Take a breath or two. And then when we're ready, we'll just take this left elbow, move it down toward the floor to the inside of that left knee. And we'll reach up and over with our right hand. Good, and then inhaling, we come on up. Good, and then we'll reverse those legs. We'll tuck that left foot in front, and we'll bring the right foot back for deer pose here. And a little fold, hands will come out in front. Take our time, let those hips settle in. And then gradually we'll lower ourselves down. Come to our elbows. We can stay in our hands if we would like. We can come to our elbows, or we can keep reaching. Maybe we lower that chest down a little bit further. And then helping ourselves back up to the top. Good, and then we'll kind of shift our weight over onto this left hip. And then a little mobility here. Inhale, we'll extend that right leg out in front of us. And then exhale, bringing it on back. And inhaling forward. And exhaling back. Moving with our breath. At whatever pace we need. Luckily, we're close to the ground, so if we fall over, it won't be devastating. Let's do 2 more. Inhale, extending that belly out in front, and then exhaling back. 1 more. Inhaling, extending, and then exhaling back. Good. Now let's bring that right leg out for Janu Shirshasana here. See if we can find equal weight on both of our sitting bones here. And we'll turn toward that left knee. Take a couple, 3 breaths here. And then when we're ready, we'll just tilt on over toward the right, lowering the right elbow down. And then we can reach straight up, or we can begin to reach up and over our head with that left hand. Thinking about keeping our shoulders opening as best we can. And then let's inhale, come on up. We'll cross those legs ever so briefly as we roll over our shins and we come onto our hands and our knees for tabletop here. Fingers are wide, pressing into the mat. Shoulders are over our wrists. And we're pressing into those hands to open up these shoulder blades behind us. Knees are hip width apart here. And we do a tiny tuck with that tail. Get rid of that tiny arch that's behind us. Good. And now let's inhale. We'll reach back with that right foot and reach forward with our left hand. Good. And now as we exhale, let's bring the elbow and the knee together. We'll round in our spine, tucking our chin in toward our chest. And then inhale, lengthen nice and long, reaching in opposite directions. And then exhale, coming and touching underneath. One more time, inhaling out. And exhaling in. And then one more time with the stretch. And then we'll lower that left hand down and we'll step forward with our foot. And we'll find ourselves into a baby lunge here. Take the time to wiggle and settle. Good, and now exhale. Let's walk our way back for our half split. Using our blocks or hands to our thigh, to our shin. Maybe we can find the floor, pointing the tail behind us. Good, inhaling, let's come forward. And exhaling back. Good, inhaling forward. And exhaling back. Couple more times. Last one. Inhale forward. And exhale back. Good. Staying here in our half split. Hands can be to our thigh, like I said, to our block or our shin. And we're going to bring the hands around to the outside on the right. And just continue to turn if we need to. We're here. Maybe we hold on to the wall if we need. A little support from our furry friends. And then let's slowly come back to that half split. Again, I'm going to turn around so you can see what I'm doing. And now we're going to go the other way. So hands go inside and we're going to come around to the left. Find ourselves in a side lunge here. Hands can be right underneath of our shoulders. Now we begin to press the outside edge of that right foot into our mat. And then we can just sink our hips back. And we can come forward and back. And forward. Let's go back one more time. And then we'll come on forward. Find our shoulders right over those wrists. And our hip is over our left knee here. Good. And now from here, let's lift up that right hand. Little twist. Good. And then slowly we'll lower that hand down. And we'll walk ourselves around toward that right toe again. And then coming on forward, finding our way back to our lunge. Sink down just a little bit more. Lift our heart. Press into those hands. Open the shoulders behind us. And now let's come back to our tabletop. Because now we have to do the other side. Or else we'll be walking around in circles all day long. So pressing back with that left foot back behind us. Toes point down to the mat. Turning that left hip so that our butt is nice and flat behind us. And then we'll reach out with the right fingers. Now keep breathing into our belly so that we're strong to support our whole body as we're out and balancing. Good. And now on our next exhale, let's bring the elbow and the knee together as we round. And then inhale out. And exhaling in. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, round. Inhale, lengthen one more time. Exhale, let's touch underneath our tummy as we round. One last stretch here. And now we can lower that right hand down to our mat. We'll step forward with that left foot into our lizard pose, or our baby lunge. Wiggle and settle. Good, and now exhale, let's walk those hands back, find our half split. And then back and forth. Inhale, forward. And then exhale, come back. Inhale, forward. You kind of know the drill. Moving gently with our breath at our pace. Good. Inhaling. Let's come on forward. And then one more time. Exhale back. We'll stay in our half split here. And then both hands. We're going to start to work our way around to the left here, to the outside of this left hip. Feel a little IT band lengthening. Remember, it's love, not torture. Good, and then we'll come back to the center. And then we'll work our way around to the right into our side lunge. Turning those toes on the left foot and pressing the outside edge of the foot down into our mat. Hands are underneath of our shoulders. And then as we breathe, we'll just exhale, bring those hips back toward our heel. And then inhale, coming on up. Back and forth. Think about lengthening inside this left thigh. Good. Let's inhale. Come on forward. Bring those shoulders over our wrists. Our hip comes over that right knee, still pressing into that left foot. Right hand will stay on the floor. Left hand comes up to the sky. And then we'll lower that left hand down. We'll walk our way around toward the top of our mat. Find our lizard pose again and settle in for a few more breaths. Maybe we can sink down just a little bit lower, lift our chest a little more proudly. Good, and now let's step back and we'll come all the way to our child's pose. Hips go over the heels, arms come out in front of us, and our knees can be either close together or they can be nice and wide. That is completely a personal preference or what your body is asking for today at this time. Now, sometimes when we're in child's pose, our elbows kind of poke out toward the side. Let's bring those elbows as they're coming straight out of our shoulders, straight to our hands. And we'll bring those hands together in prayer, and we'll bring our thumbs to touch the back of our necks back here. You can walk those elbows out a little bit further if we would like. Maybe dig into those triceps, into our pecs a little bit. Good, let's release those hands back down to the mat. And we'll swish our feet over to one side. We'll lower our butts back down onto our mat. And we'll help ourselves onto our backs. Roll up into our little ball here, hugging our knees into our chest, tucking our chin. Find our little egg. Good, and then we'll release that left leg, hug the right knee continually into our chest. We can relax our shoulders and our heads. And now let's take our left hand and place it on top of our left hip, just as a reminder to keep that hip down onto the mats, and then our right hand will open up the knee out to the right. Good, and now let's release that back to the center. We'll switch hands, and our left hand will guide the knee all the way across into a spinal twist. Stay here for 2 more breaths. And then we'll release. We'll bring both knees back into our chest. Roll up into our little egg. And we'll release the right leg and hug nice and tightly in with our left, all the way into our chest, maybe into our little armpit, a little leg hug here. And we'll take that right hand and we'll hold it, just press into that right hip just a little bit to remind that rascal not to fly up off of the ground as we open the left knee out to the side. Now we'll bring the knee back into the center. We can switch hands and we'll bring that body all the way across and find our spinal twist on this side. Both shoulders are relaxing into our mat. And this right hand is just here as a reminder or a guide. We're not forcing that knee to go any further than it can or wants to go today. And now let's release that knee. We'll come back to the center, both legs. We'll hug in to our little egg. And now let's bring both feet up to the sky. We'll flex our feet so that we can almost see the bottoms of our toes. And then our hands can just touch behind the hamstrings or the knee, maybe up into the calf, and just with our fingertips. Just a gentle encouragement to keep those legs moving in towards us. Good. And then we can release that encouragement. We'll reach our fingers up toward the sky, and then we can just roll around in our wrists and in our ankles for Krakalasana. Can point and flex and wiggle and just get all of the extra movement out of our bodies. And then inhale, we reach. Exhale, we'll lower down ever so slowly, feeling our entire spine pressing in towards our mat. Our hands are reaching up above our heads, and our feet are actively lengthening those legs underneath of our hips, making ourselves as long as we possibly can. One more big inhale here. And then exhale with purpose. Let everything go. Rid of all of the tension. We close our eyes. We soften our jaw. And we allow ourselves this time to just be still. To not expect anything from ourselves. If and when we're ready, we'll deepen our breath. We'll wiggle our fingers and our toes. We'll slowly come back into our space. When it's time, we'll bring those knees back into our chest and we'll rock over onto our side. We'll help ourselves up to seated. Take a moment to check in with how we are feeling now. After our practice, after our little Shavasana nap, and we'll inhale, lift our hands up to the sky, bring them together at the top. Exhale them down to our hearts with a purpose. I'm so grateful that you joined me today on this gorgeous day. I applaud your dedication to yourselves, and I appreciate you allowing me to help you through your practice today. Wish you a very, very happy day, a great rest of your week. The light in the divine in me recognizes and respects the light in the divine in you. And when we are together, whether physically or virtually, we are one. Namaste.